Mario Party Superstars is both the best Mario Party in nearly 15 years, and a bit of a disappointment. It's the first Mario Party since Mario Party 8 that is just, well, Mario Party. No asterisks, no strings attached, no dice block tier list, just the formula that was never broken. At the same time, there were no unlockable boards, 2/3 of the minigames came from 3 of the 10 games they pulled from, with Mario Party 3 getting way too many games especially, and the online was shockingly prone to disconnecting, especially since Super's online just never had that issue. So yeah, it was a mixed bag. Now, I originally made a wish list for DLC ideas back on my blog, but it would seem the game's not getting any DLC given it's been a year since it came out. So unless a $20 expansion pass is right around the corner, I'm assuming ND Cube is sticking to their tradition of just releasing a game and moving on to the next project. So instead, this game will be going over design ideas for a potential sequel. You know, following what Superstars did where you take content from previous entries and polish them up a bit. The important thing to keep in mind is I've structured this video to minimize having to repeat myself, which means the ordering and how I prioritize what I talk about might be a bit weird. Hopefully though, this means the video will flow together pretty well. Oh yeah, I'm also sticking to stuff I'm only talking about from a design standpoint. Like, obviously I want the online to be more stable, but it's not like I have the know-how to explain exactly how you do that. But enough preamble. To give the game a general premise, it's Bowser Jr.'s birthday, and Mario and the gang are invited. By force, so it's hardly an invitation. But the gang decides to make the most of it. I'll go more into this idea later, but it effectively combines the plots of Mario Party 4, 7, and a hint of 5's. Now that our board game has lore, how's the actual gameplay? Well, it's Mario Party. Pick your characters, roll a dice block to determine the order, the dice block magically goes up to 10, you start with 10 coins, 20 coins for a star, get the most stars to win. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But speaking of characters, there would be 16 in total. All 10 return, with 6 new ones. And that's going to be the big idea with this, reusing assets from the earlier game to ease development. They already have an art style that works well for Mario Party, so there's no need to rework everything from the ground up. Again. As for the new playable characters, I decided to go with the idea that every playable character has a partner of sorts. Most of them already have one, like Mario to Luigi, Peach to Daisy, etc. So only Donkey Kong and Rosalina need one, and that leaves me with 4 free slots to do whatever. The easiest choice is Diddy Kong, who frankly should have been playable as far back as Mario Party 5 if you ask me. After that, some villains, Dry Bones and Hammer Bro, who were playable in Mario Party 7 and 8 respectively. Next would be Toad and Toadette. Yeah, I'm not fans of making them the host. They're not particularly interesting as hosts, and I would much rather play as them again. You can size them up a bit to be on par with Mario and Luigi in terms of height. I mean, they did that for New Super Mario Bros. U. Can't see why they can't do it here. And finally, Pauline for Rosalina's partner. Her normal outfit is a little too lanky for Mario Party's gameplay, more specifically for the knockout style of minigames. But thankfully, Mario Kart Tour gave us an outfit that would actually better suit this style of gameplay. It's even called the Party Time outfit to boot, and it would fit in line with how she seems to have a different design in every single Switch game. Just get rid of the cupcake sprinkles in her hair and maybe make the skirt go down to her ankles just for visual simplicity, and you're golden. Or Rosie, as the case is. And finally, the gameplay modes. Yeah, that might be important for a video game. I'll go over these more in-depth as time goes on. Party mode, the bread and butter of any Mario Party game. Minigame mode, you can play minigames freely or engage in some minigame-focused side modes. The back room, this would feature some extra minigames and a very special board game that don't really complement the other 2 modes. All 3 of these modes would support online play. Solo mode, this is where the story mode goes. On top of that, the player can also check all of their achievements here. Options, you change game settings, as you always do. Finally, the Mini-Star Bank. Mini-Stars were used as a metric in Mario Party 9 and 10, effectively trying to combine stars and coins into a single thing. Now they would be used to purchase extras in this game, from additional character skins, to music from the original games, to some bonus boards, to more stickers, aka the best edition in Superstars. I'll go over examples of what you can get with the Mini-Star Bank as this write-up goes on. I would like to actually start this out with the items, since they're fairly important to the game experience, but they're almost never talked about. Both the dash shrooms and the double and triple dice blocks would return from Superstars, behaving exactly as they did beforehand, though the double and triple dice would be redesigned to be like the candy from Mario Party 8. Similarly, the poison mushroom is just the cursed dice block, but redesigned to look like, an actual Mario item. The first item that would actually be changed is the golden dice block. It still lets you choose exactly what you want to roll, but instead of getting to choose between 1 and 10, you're now limited to 0 to 5. This does, however, mean that you can also choose to land on the space you're already on. In fact, this is the only item in the game that would let you do that now. The dueling glove, the warp block, and the plunder chest would work exactly the same as they previously did. The magic wand would replace the gold pipe. It would be far more expensive than any other item in the game at a whopping 30 coins, but it would also allow the player to teleport to any major position on the map. From the star space to heading back to start, to any of the shops, to the lottery, or even the Boo House. You can send yourself to any one place, but it will, by comparison, the cellular phone, the Boo Bell, and the golden pipe would allow the players to access the shop, the Boo House, and the lottery respectively. Unlike the magic wand, it doesn't teleport you there, but instead brings it to you, in a sense, so you don't have to give up your positioning on the map. These are still considerably cheaper than the magic wand, though. The Bowser phone would allow you to bring a Bowser space to anybody. You monster. A Thwomp trap will place, a thwomp above that space, and stop the next player who goes across that space in their tracks, ending their turn right then and there. This can only be placed on red or blue spaces, though. On top of that, it won't activate for the person who actually set the trap. Blow-away candy is from Mario Party 8. Simply put, anybody that you run past will be sent back to start. Bite-size candy is also from 8. It turns you into an NES sprite of your character, and you get 3 coins for every space you pass while moving. The Gadlight will simply stop a Boo from stealing from you. Do take note though, it is used automatically, regardless of what the Boo is trying to steal. The Invisibility block would be a new item, and it's based on the Invisible Cap from Mario 64. For 2 turns, the player becomes, invisible. This means that you won't activate any spaces you land on or pass like this, though you can still enter shops or buy stars. It has some secondary uses on certain boards. The Bowser suit turns you into Bowser. Sort of. You'll roll 2 dice blocks and steal 10 coins from every person you pass, but you ignore board events like shops or stars. This item isn't nearly as rare as it would be back in the older games. The Item Bag gives you 3 items of any given quality. It costs 30 coins, so it's a bit of a gamble if you'll get your money's worth or not. And finally, rare items. These 4 items don't normally appear in stores, so you'll have to get lucky and find them. You can get them from, of course, lucky spaces, sometimes even a Bowser space, or from a hidden item block. The Double Star card and the Hidden Block card return from Superstars and do exactly what they did in that game. The Lucky Charm can be used when you enter a lottery, ensuring that you'll get at least something. More accurately, you're guaranteed the 3rd prize, and you're more likely to win the 2nd prize. The Bowser statue originates from Mario Party 7 as a joke item, but now serves an actual purpose. Landing on a Bowser space while holding one will have the Koopa King himself swipe it, and then reward you for your gift by giving you a roulette that only has good options. Next up, the spaces on the board. Most of them are exactly the same as last time. Blue spaces, red spaces, happening spaces, chance time, lucky spaces, and the Bowser spaces. The battle space would return, but it would be based on Mario Party 4's version. This means that it's considered a green space, it's hosted by a Bob-omb, and whoever lands there gets to choose from one of 4 battle games. Returning from 6 and 7 would be the duel space, although it would be red instead of green this time for some variety. Also, the duels would allow players to gamble items on top of coins or stars. There's also what are apparently known as the passive spaces. These are the things that you walk past, but they don't count against your dice roll. The star space does what it usually does, and the shops would be run by Koopa Troopa and Shy Guy instead of the Toads. The first big change is the Boo House. Well, not really a big change, more of an addition. Players can now opt to spend 25 coins to steal 2 items from any given player. Then there's that gold pipe from the first game, which would be reused to send the player to the lottery. This also means that Mario Party 4's lottery can be placed on literally any given board, without having to heavily alter the map's physical design. You may have noticed that 2 spaces would not be returning from Superstars. The first is the item minigame space, which would be replaced with item boxes from Mario Kart. They would give you a random item when you pass by them, though often a low-grade one, for free, similar to how later Mario Party games would give you free orbs or candy when you pass by. It's not like I dislike the item minigames, but Mario Party plays fine without them. and I'd much rather have dual spaces than item minigame spaces. On a similar note, there's really no need for the bank, since the lottery is basically a more interesting version of the same mechanic. To end the space section, the Bowser and Lucky Spaces can have any of the following outcomes from their roulettes. The Bowser Roulette will always have Bowser minigames and at least one good option available, while Lucky Spaces will always give out at least 7 coins. Now for the actual party modes. I won't go over the standard mode since it's, well, standard. The first alternative is Tag Team Party from the GameCube era as a whole. 1 versus 3 games cannot happen, 2 versus 2 games must align with the teams or it becomes a free-for-all, you cannot duel against your partner because duh, and teammates share items with each other. It's otherwise not that different from Standard Party. For both of these modes, players receive 1 mini-star for every 10 coins they finish with, and 5 mini-stars for every star they finish with. The other alternate mode is something a bit different, Survival Party. There's no stars in this mode, a more limited selection of items, and players start with 20 coins each. The goal is simply to drain everyone else of their coins while moving across smaller versions of the same boards. Landing on the same space if someone duels them after the first 2 turns, although after 10 turns, merely passing them is enough. Winning a duel has the winner take 5 coins from the loser, with the cost of loss rising every 5 turns. Minigames are not played at the end of each turn, but instead when the player lands on a battle game space. Rates are currently on screen. When you run out of coins, you're out, but not done. You'll be sent back to the start. You can still roll and duel anyone you land on to try to knock them out as well. Last player standing wins. Despite that being a bit of a mouthful to explain, this mode would be considerably shorter than the main one. All players earn a flat 10 mini-stars for playing this mode regardless of their position, with an extra 2 mini-stars for every 10 coins they manage to finish with, should they be the winner. On a little bit of an aside, I would love to have Mario Party 7's 8-player mode, as I'm one of the few people who got to experience it with 7 other people, but I'd be lying if I said such a niche mode would be worth the effort. Plus, if Smash Bros. Ultimate wasn't able to get 8 players online, I would not hedge any bets on a sequel to Superstars being able to pull it off. Now there's the final 5 turns. The lottery ticket system from Mario Party 4 would return, so anybody who visited the lottery in time would have a chance for a free star. After that, the player in last place gets to spin a roulette to decide how the final 5 turns would be a bit more weird. After those 5 turns, the game ends and bonus stars are handed out, assuming they were turned on. Both of these are on screen right now for the sake of convenience. On top of being able to decide if bonus stars appear at all, the player can choose to have the classic 3 from the early games, 3 random ones from the later GameCube entries, or for the first time, they can manually select which 3 would appear. Okay, how else can I procrastinate talking about which boards would appear in this virtual board game? Ooh, I know, advanced options. These are details that would really only appeal to some of the older players, but it'd be nice to actually have them for a change. Well, I say for a change, but a handful of them have actually been options in previous games. This would just be the first time that it would be greatly expanded upon. Most of these would need to be unlocked from the Mini-Star Bank. They'd cost on average 20 Mini-Stars each. On top of what you see on screen right now, there would also be some cosmetic choices, like being able to change the coins into their N64 designs or replace them with star bits, or being able to replace the stars with shine sprites or power moons. Okay, enough stalling. Onto the boards themselves. Each board would feature a unique host to them, like it did in Mario Party 4. I would push for 7 boards, since that's what the game series used to be able to do on average. 5 available from the start, with 2 being unlockable. Toy Dream, originating from Mario Party 5 and this time being hosted by Bowser Jr., who would be convinced that this is the coolest thing ever. It serves as the most basic map. Jr. would proclaim Bowser gave him all these toys that he could ever want, so he made a board out of them. It would have to add the traditional item shops, the Boo House, the lottery and such, but the structure needs no additional changes to work. EGAD's Garage, from Mario Party 6 and hosted by EGAD. This board is also fairly straightforward. The Nutty Professor would have some dialogue about him agreeing to do this because he just wants an excuse to test a bunch of stuff on you. But aside from this dialogue, like how he has an artificial sun and moon for the day-night system, and the addition of a Boo House, this board plays the same as it used to. This would be the only board, however, that lacks a lottery. Goomba's Greedy Gala, from Mario Party 4 and hosted by, take a guess, yeah, a Goomba. It serves as the island hopping board. It would also feature the most drastic changes from its original counterpart of all these. What was once a mini pipe is now a wired fence, and it requires the invisibility block to pass through, since there's no mini mushroom in this game. Similarly, the events that once required a mini mushroom can now just be walked up and played normally. The biggest change would be the Goomba spaces that you pass. You still have to roll and try to beat them, but the Goomba can now only roll 3 to 8. So it's not possible to instantly win or lose against these. The stakes are different too. Losing has the Goomba take 5 coins from you and then send you on your not-so-merry way, while winning gives you 10 coins and lets you decide if you want to go to one of the other 2 Goomba spaces or send yourself back to start, making getting around the board much less painful. Which is important. This is the largest board in the game. Pyramid Park. Hosted by a Boo in an explorer's hat and originating from Mario Party 7, it features every player starting with 5 stars and using the Chain Chomps to steal from them. Bowser can't steal any stars from players on this board if they land on his space. Instead of using bones for items, the invisibility block can make it impossible for a Chain Chomp to steal from that player for 2 straight turns. Naturally, there's no Boo House nor Magic Wand on this board. The Chomp Call is more expensive, but for this board instead summons a Chain Chomp straight to where you are. Shy Guy's Perplex Express, a train from Mario Party 8 hosted by a Shy Guy, or a Shy Guy conductor as it would be. Simply put, players make a mad dash to the end of the train in order to get a star, but they then have to loop back around by climbing on the roofs. There's no miracle space on the board this time since the lucky spaces effectively replace them. I would not cross my fingers for any Paper Mario characters returning either, but the board would otherwise be untouched. There's no magic wand on this map, and Boo can only appear by summoning a Boo Bell. Bowser's Nightmare. It originates from Mario Party 5 and is hosted by Bowser himself. This stage really lives up to its name. Damn near every event on this board is negative in some way and to be avoided. This board must be unlocked by beating the single-player mode. Koopa's Tycoon Town. First used in Mario Party 8 and it's hosted by a Koopa Troopa. This board has players invest coins into hotels, getting all the stars in the hotel if they've invested the most. And once enough total coins have been invested, the value of a hotel goes up, increasing the amount of stars the holder of it gets. The miracle spaces are removed from this board as well for the same reason as the Perplex Express. This board has to be bought from the Mini-Star Bank for 100 Mini-Stars. Instead of a Boo House, Nabbit can be found in a few alleyways and will rob hotels for coins. So for minigames, I'm merely just going to show you all of them. There would be 120 minigames in total, a massive amount, but 50 of them would be lifted directly from the previous Superstars game, so only 70 new ones would need to be made. So simultaneously, that would be the most and the least amount of minigames to a Mario Party game, depending on how you look at it. If the minigame is from the original Superstars, then you'll see that version of it. If it would be quote-unquote new to this game, you'll see the original version instead. I'll be going in the order of the video game release, just to keep things digestible. Now, you might be wondering why battle games would be separated this time, given that they weren't in the previous one. I find that 47 4-player minigames is more than enough, and battle spaces benefit the most from having unique minigames found within them. It adds a bit of incentive to land on them as well. As for the minigame mode itself, well, there would be the traditional free play mode. It's the side modes that are not quite as obvious. Minigame Rally. This is based loosely on Minigame Circuit from Mario Party 5. Everyone is in a cartoonish-looking Indy car, and they play a minigame to determine how many spaces on the track they move. First place goes 5 spaces, second place goes 3, third place goes 2, fourth place goes 1. There's no coins to lose in this mode, so colors just determine what kind of minigame will be played. Item boxes can be found to give the player some items to help with their movement, but it's very, very basic. The first to finish the lap wins. Cyber Wars. This is directly linked to the Mario Party 5 game known as Minigame Wars. There are 19 hexagon spaces, and the players compete in the free-for-all minigames to claim one. Having someone spaces between 2 of yours will claim it as your own. Tic-tac-toe logic. Every few turns, a battle game is played. Winning that allows you to take any space, even if it's already been claimed by someone else. Finally, Waterfall Battle, a King of the Hill style mode for dual minigames. Everyone is on top of a waterfall, or rather, a log on a waterfall, and the player on the upmost left has to battle everyone else one by one, the loser getting knocked down. If the current king gets knocked down, all previously knocked out players come back for a second chance. The game ends when only one is left. This would be based on the Mario Party 5 solo mode, which is actually where Survival Party comes from if you didn't realize. Bowser simply wants to amuse his son for his birthday, and so he has the player character, whichever one you choose, fight against 3 Shadow Marios on 4 random boards. As the player starts winning board to board, Junior starts to root for them, much to his father's increased annoyance. The 5th and final map will always be Bowser's Nightmare, with the final battle being that of Frightmare, aka the final battle from Mario Party 5. After finally winning, Junior admits it was a lot of fun and thanks both the player and his dad for the show. Bowser, visually confused but ultimately satisfied, admits the player did what he told him to do, and gives him a present. Each player would have a present just for that character, giving you a reason to play the mode with each character, although the gift itself is usually more of a joke. Gameplay-wise, the player rolls and moves independently, but all 3 Shadow Marios will move at the same time, even though they're going to be on different spaces. Any of them passing the player and vice versa will trigger a duel for coins. You don't have to land on the space at all. The player must beat all 3 of them to move on to the next board. Minigames are only played when landing on a battle space as usual. The important thing to keep in mind is that Blue Toad will be your partner if you're locked into a 2 versus 2 game. Shadow Mario and Blue Toad can be unlocked for gameplay, though they can't be used in the single player mode. Blue Toad costs 15 mini-stars and Shadow Mario costs 30 mini-stars. They would be selected by pressing the X button over Toad or Mario respectively. The final mode of gameplay is a little bonus mode that separates from the main game, featuring some extra mini-games and a bonus game. It's hosted by the Star, or as you probably know it as, the Dark Star from the Hudson Soft era of these games. The first of them is Card Party, lifted directly from Mario Party 5, and plays the exact same way. The Mini Star Bank has an expansion of this for 30 mini-stars. It increases the maximum size from 7x7 to 9x9, and adds game pieces for Bowser Jr. and EGAD. The second option for this mode are some extra minigames. These serve as variations on 10 normal minigames. They're meant to be played with friends to just mess around with instead of affecting board game results. Mushroom Mashup. It's like Mushroom Mix-Up, except it's faster from the get-go. The evil part is that sometimes the flag that the Toad lifts is the only space that would lower, making it easy to get tricked and knocked out. Bumper Bombs. Unlike regular bumper balls, there's a guardrail up around the arena, so it's not actually possible to get a ring out. Instead, you have to knock everyone else around to make their bombs explode, while trying not to set your own off. Manic Memory. Messy memory, except all 4 players must work together to get all 12 items right as fast as possible. The minigame only ends once it's all done correctly, though. Bookswarm Survival. It's an endless version of Bookswarm, just see how long you can last. Doesn't end until everyone's knocked out. Curvaceous Crossing. A 4-player version of Curvy Curbs, where all 4 players must work together to finish as fast as possible. All for One Snow Brawl. A cooperative version of Snow Brawl where an endless amount of Mr. Blizzards, aka the Snowmen, spawn and try to knock out the 4 players. The game only ends once all 4 are knocked out, and the idea is to take out as many snowmen before your team is out. Track and Yield Survival. An endless version of Track and Yield, with the same challenge as the Bookswarm version. Munch Madness. A cooperative version of Winner or Dinner. The goal is to collect as much money as possible as a team, but once you get knocked out, you're out for good. Clocks can be found to extend how long the timer goes. Once you run out of time or everyone is out, it's over. Manner of Escalation. An inverted version of Manner of Escape, where instead, you're constantly going up and it never quite stops. Simply see how many floors you can go up before the timer runs out. Bob-omb Extermination. Based on Bob-omb Combo, the goal is now to see how many shots it takes for you to get rid of all 80, instead of seeing how many you can get rid of in one shot. And finally, there are 6 sports and puzzle games. Beach Volley Folly, Ice Hockey, and Dunk Bros, all of which play like they originally did. Mario Puzzle Party would also be making a return. Lab Rats would appear from Mario Party 6, with the same set of partners that can be found in the maze. And finally, The Beat Goes On from Mario Party 3.